The night it began. If you think horror begins in haunted houses or creepy forests, you've never had dinner with my family on a Tuesday night. Dad was on his usual rant about teenagers these days. Mom was pretending to listen, and my little brother Ryan was shaping the mashed potatoes into what looked suspiciously like my head, except with broccoli for hair. "Emily," Dad said, stabbing his meatloaf like it had personally insulted him, "you need to start thinking about your future." I poked at my plate. "I'm thinking about surviving this meatloaf. Does that count?" Ryan snorted so hard milk came out of his nose. Mom groaned. Dad glared at me like I'd just committed treason. That was my life, trapped in a sitcom no one wanted to watch. So the moment dinner ended, I escaped. Outside, Stacy and Mark were waiting at the corner. Stacy was chewing gum like she was training for the Olympics, and Mark leaned against his bike trying way too hard to look cool. "Took you long enough," Stacy said. "Sorry," I muttered. Dad was giving a lecture about responsibility while murdering a piece of meatloaf. Mark grinned. Classic. We started toward the park, laughing about teachers and homework. For a while, it felt normal. Just 3 kids avoiding their families and pretending the night was ours. Then Stacy stopped walking. Guys?" she said, pointing up. At first I thought it was just a plane. But it wasn't moving like a plane. The lights were too bright. Too close. Too wrong. "Drone," Mark guessed. "Yeah," I said. Because drones usually hover silently in one place and glow like radioactive Christmas trees. We stood frozen, staring at it. The thing darted sideways, then stopped again. And that's when the streetlights flickered. My phone screen glitched. Static. Actual static, like I was trapped in an old TV. "Okay, what the hell?" Stacy whispered, checking her own phone. "Dead." Mark's phone. Dead. The lights in the sky dropped lower. I wish I could say I was brave. Instead, a noise escaped my throat that sounded like a cat being stepped on. The object hovered right above us now, metallic, glowing green. No sound. Not even a hum. "Oh crap," Mark muttered. "Oh crap," Stacy echoed. I whispered the smartest thing I could think of. "We should run." We did not run. Because a blinding beam shot down from the ship, lighting up the whole block. And inside that beam were shapes. Tall. Thin. Wrong. They looked stretched, their heads too big, their eyes glowing like headlights. Stacy's nails dug into my arm. "Tell me this is a prank." Mark's voice cracked. "If it's a prank, I'm suing someone. And me." I squeaked. Hi." One of them glided forward, smooth, fast, not walking, just moving. It stopped right in front of us, tilting its head like we were ants under glass. So I did the only logical thing. I threw my phone at it. It went straight through. No impact. No sound. "They're not real," I whispered. "They are holograms." And then the beam hit me. It wasn't pain. It wasn't even scary at first. More like static electricity crawling over my skin. My vision blurred. My ears rang. I heard Stacy scream my name. Then everything went dark. Static dreams. When I opened my eyes, the world was buzzing. Not with sound, but with static, like the air itself had turned into a broken screen. Everything around me shimmered in grey and green, flickering, rippling like water. I lay on something cold and smooth, unable to move at first, my limbs heavy as if they belonged to someone else. My mouth was dry, my throat raw. I tried to whisper Stacy's name, then Mark's, but the silence pressed back, heavy and endless. I rolled onto my side, fighting dizziness, and that's when I saw the column of light. It wasn't natural, silver, green, violet, shifting like liquid glass. Inside it, shadows twisted, tall and thin, almost human but not quite. One of them turned, and its glowing eyes fixed on me. I wanted to run, but my body shook and refused. It tilted its head in that same insect-like way I'd seen on the street, and my stomach dropped. The air thickened with a low hum that wasn't just sound but thought, pushing straight into my head. "You are seen." The words weren't spoken, but I felt them all the same. My vision blurred with flashes of memory, our dinner table, Dad's ranting, Stacy laughing in the park, the beam of light swallowing me. They were pulling pieces of my life out like pages from a book, and I couldn't stop them. No, I croaked, clutching my head. Stop it. The shadows shifted faster, the hum sharper, then suddenly everything stilled. A slit opened in the wall of static, a door glowing faintly. My body finally obeyed me, and I crawled toward it, pressing my hands against its strange, unearthly surface. Without a sound, it slid open. The hallway beyond stretched endlessly, lit by faint pulses along the walls. I staggered to my feet, every step echoing too loudly, the air sharp and metallic in my lungs. I walked, counting steps to keep from panicking. 20, 50, 100, and then I heard them. Voices. I ran toward the sound and rounded a corner. Stacy and Mark were there, but trapped inside a glass-like chamber. Stacy's face was pale, eyes closed, Mark slumped beside her. I slammed my hands against the surface. Stacy! Mark! My voice cracked, but they didn't move. The chamber was silent, unbreakable. My throat ached from screaming their names. Then the hum returned. I turned and saw them in the hallway. The figures. No longer shadows, but real, tall and shimmering like heat haze. Their glowing eyes locked on me, and the hum pressed into my skull again. You are seen. You are chosen. I backed against the chamber, wishing Stacy or Mark would wake up. Chosen for what? I whispered, though no answer came. One of them raised a long, impossibly thin hand, and the hallway burst into blinding green light. And once again, the world went dark. The glass prison. I woke again, but this time the static was gone. The world was sharp, too sharp, like every edge had been carved with glass. I was standing, not lying down, though I couldn't remember moving. My arms pressed against something smooth, curved, and cold. I realized slowly that I wasn't free at all. I was inside a chamber, just like the one that held Stacy and Mark. The walls were clear, a transparent prison. Beyond them stretched a vast room glowing pale green, filled with other chambers lined up in endless rows. Most of them were empty, but not all. Shadows flickered inside some, shapes of other people, or things, I couldn't quite see. My heart pounded so hard it echoed in my ears. I slammed my fists against the glass. Hello. Can anyone hear me? My voice sounded small, swallowed by the cavernous space. No response. My breath fogged the surface, and for a second I saw my reflection. Pale face, messy hair, wide terrified eyes. I looked like a stranger. I turned and pressed my palms harder, searching for a seam, a crack, anything. Nothing. Just smooth, unbreakable walls. Panic rose in my chest, sharp and choking. Stacy! Mark! I shouted, my voice breaking. I couldn't see them, but I knew they had to be close. The silence stretched on, heavy and suffocating. Then the hum returned. That awful vibration, sinking into my bones, filling the air like an invisible tide. My head throbbed, and I pressed my hands against my ears even though I knew it wouldn't stop. You are seen. The words slid into my mind again, cool and certain. You are chosen. Chosen for what? I whispered, but my own voice sounded weak, swallowed by the pulse of thought. No answer came. Instead, the walls of my chamber flickered, and suddenly the space around me shifted. It was like falling without moving. The glowing room vanished, replaced by images flashing on the walls of my prison. I saw my neighborhood, our street, our house. Dad pacing in the kitchen, Mom staring blankly at the TV, Ryan at the table shaping potatoes into little figures again. My throat closed. No, don't show me this. But the images kept shifting. Stacy laughing in class, Mark on his bike, kids I barely knew, teachers, faces from hallways. All of them, scenes from my life pulled out and replayed. Then the images twisted. The house cracked apart, the street crumbled, the sky turned green. Stacy and Mark's faces blurred into shadow, their mouths opening in silent screams. I pounded on the glass. Stop it. Stop. My voice broke, tears stinging my eyes. The visions dissolved, leaving only the glow. And then, silence. The hum faded, and for the first time since the beam touched me, I was completely alone. My chest heaved with shallow breaths. My prison stayed solid, unyielding, but the air felt different. Watching, waiting. Somewhere deep inside, past the fear, a thought clawed its way up. If they put me in here, they could take me out. Which meant they had a plan. Which meant I wasn't just a prisoner. I was part of something I didn't understand. And that terrified me even more. The voice in the dark. The chamber went quiet for what felt like hours. I don't know if time even worked the same way in that place, but every second dragged like lead. My breath fogged the glass, my legs trembled, and I kept thinking of Ryan back home, probably stacking his potatoes into monsters while Mom pretended to laugh. Maybe they thought I had run away. Maybe they thought I was dead. I pressed my forehead against the wall, trying to steady myself. That was when I heard it, a whisper, faint but real, threading through the silence. Not the humming voice that forced its way into my head, but something softer, human. Emily. My heart stopped. I spun, pressing my hands to the glass. Stacy. Mark. Silence. Then again, clearer this time, Emily. It wasn't Stacy. It wasn't Mark. It was me. My own voice, echoing back at me from the air itself. I stumbled back, shaking my head. No, this isn't real. But the voice kept going, whispering my name over and over, until suddenly it changed. My dad's voice. Deep, stern, filled with disappointment. You need to start thinking about your future. I clapped my hands over my ears, screaming, "Stop it!" The glass walls rippled like water, and the voice shifted again. My mom's this time, soft and tired. "Why can't you just listen for once?" Then Ryan's giggle, bubbling, sharp, turning into something wrong, stretched too long, echoing like a broken recording. "Please," I begged, sinking to my knees. "Please, stop." The chamber answered with silence. My heart raced, every muscle trembling, but I forced myself to lift my head. If they wanted to break me, they would have to try harder. Then, for the first time, the walls dissolved. The glass faded away like smoke, and suddenly I was standing in the vast room again, free but not free at all. The rows of chambers glowed faintly around me, some empty, some holding shadows of movement. My breath hitched, Stacy and Mark. I spotted them a few rows away, still trapped, still unconscious. I ran. My bare feet slapped against the cold floor, the space echoing with each step. I reached Stacy's chamber first, pounding on the surface. "Wake up. Please, Stacy, wake up." Nothing. I turned to Mark's, just as useless, his head tilted down, lips pale. That was when the air shifted. A vibration rolled through the room, stronger than before, rattling the floor under my feet. The hum returned, not soft this time but thunderous, filling every corner of the space. The lights in the chambers pulsed brighter, and the figures appeared again. Dozens of them. Tall, thin, eyes glowing like twin stars, surrounding the rows of glass prisons. My throat closed, and I backed away, pressing myself between Stacy's chamber and Mark's. The hum rose into words inside my skull. "You are many. You are fragments. You are one." I didn't understand, but the meaning clawed at me anyway. My head spun, my stomach twisted. "Leave them alone," I shouted, my voice cracking. The tallest figure drifted closer, stopping right in front of me. Its shadow stretched across the floor, swallowing mine whole. For a heartbeat I thought it would touch me, drag me away again. Instead, it tilted its head and spoke without sound. "Not yet." The floor beneath me pulsed, and in an instant the glass prison rebuilt itself around me, sealing me back inside.